goes in, you're going to hear of all the things that they would have done. And it's a fact. Just like they say, people are getting paid and we're not doing any work, it's happening now. And that is a fact. You talk about people who get rich even before they reach in, because they know what they're going to do. It's happening now. And that's the fact. You talk about family and nepotism and all kind of ism. It's happening now. And that is a fact. And so at the end of the day, we ask ourselves, what? It's going to always be that game that people can play where I benefit and people are just waiting to benefit. You travel the world and you bring back absolutely nothing. No information back to the country. You're doing the same thing. It was done then and it's being done now. People think politicians, kidditions and divisions, they don't care about us. I've said it over and over again. All of them. They would have gone in and they would have promised, and they're going to always promise you. So when you're getting the little pop money, the $500, that is just pittance to what they are reaping. And it is a fact. So what I'm saying, I say all of this to say, all of that to say this. You are going to do the same thing that you have criticized the others of doing. So, just make sure that the people who would have voted for you, you can serve them. It's a game, and you've seen it unfold, where people are setting up. You're getting rid of. Listen, I look. I'm not really a person who look at movies and stuff, but I've looked at some of the plots, and you think it's just a movie, and at the end of the day, you know it's a movie, so you know it's not gonna hurt you as much. But when you think of it, it makes you sick to your stomach. But when you realize this is not a game, this is reality, and the same plots have been made and people are doing the same thing, it sickens you even more. You wonder if humans are capable of the things that they do at this time. I want people to be aware that as much as the best thing to do is to have money that you would have earned honestly. Riches can come to anybody. Lots of money can come to anybody. But at the end of the day, if you live your hell, and when you die, your hell is even going to be hotter, it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it. The whole world looks the same. So you have the opportunity to jump on a plane and travel wherever you want to do. Dine in the best restaurants and sleep in the best hotel. A sleep is a sleep. It doesn't matter where you get it. When you are tired, the prince and the kings and the queens, if push come to shove, there's a natural disaster. Where did they find Saddam Hussein? A man who had all of that money. A man who had all of that power. When he started to run, where did he hide? In a hole. What did he breathe from? A straw. There was no toilets in there. Could you imagine the mess he was? Could not even comb his hair. I'm almost positive he ate cockroaches because he was hungry. And that is what you come down to. It is life. Karma is real. So all of the fight we're fighting to get what we want, amounting, I don't mind people being rich and having what they want. Enjoy it. You spend all of your life fighting to become rich and never had a chance to enjoy it. How much more do you want to make you happy? Then you should realize happiness for you doesn't come in material things. You should try something else. Try something new. Try starting to love and live in peace and not divide. Everything you get and every position you find yourself in is divide and rule. Nivisians need to wake up. Nevis is, for me, I am Nevisian. I was born there, bred there. I spent most of my life in St. Kitts, but I am Nevisian. And when you go back to Nevis and you look and you see where, Vans Amory International is still just a place where, thank God for Omel Wilkin that she has kept that. I think she should be made the Minister of Tourism, because I think it's because of her why you have planes coming into Nevis and not otherwise. Otherwise than that, it's just like normal. One flight's coming from Liat, and then sheep and everything else roam the airstrip. And that is where Nevis is at 2023. Absolutely nothing is happening. And ask yourself the question, where is it happening then? You have little areas and things that are being done, and for the purpose of who? We need to be able to get up and see, open your eyes and see what is happening around you. And like I said, politics is politics. Politicians are going to be the same. They're in there for one thing and one thing only. I listened to Asset Michael spilling his guts and telling the Prime Minister, Gaston, about of all the things that I would have given. It sickens me to my stomach when you listen to people who come out and realize what did they do, how you pay how much money and bribes and all of these things that happens. Who wants to be in politics? It's a nasty game. It's really a nasty game. And it's sad, because guess what? All of us, because of our little greedy, wanting to be somebody and hoping that at one point in time you would get a favor done, you go out and you vote for them. Not because of the position that the country is in. Not because the poor people can get little something. It grieves my heart and my stomach. I'm not going to talk about it because, let me tell you something, people are being gunned down. And I don't want heroes die and legends do the same. I don't want to be legendary. I just want to be poor, ordinary me. I'm not going to be anybody's superhero. I'm not going to fight for anybody's cause. Those people are dead. Martin Luther King, you can't ask him anything. He is dead. Marcus Garvey, you can't ask him why he is dead. And these are the things that people have been standing up and fighting and for other people. And then at the end of the day, the same people you fight for, they turn your back on you. No, it's not going to happen. I am not fighting anybody's cause. Not on your views, not in WINN FM, no, on nowhere else. I have taken myself off of social media because sometimes if you know when your time is up. And I think mine was up, and everybody who wants to, if you want a better life, you're going to do it yourself. Everybody is capable of looking after themselves. Like I said, this morning, your views, I'm going to open the line so that I can hear your views. This is my opinion. I want to hear your views and what do you think about the situation that we have right now in St. Kitts and Nevis. It's not from a political standpoint. It is from a reality standpoint. We have to start being real. Let's open the lines. The numbers you can call is 465-0989, 466-0989, or 662-0989. I almost forgot the numbers. I haven't said it in a very long time, but those are the numbers that you can call in if you want to be a part of the program, if you want to have a say, if you want to talk about what you're seeing. But let's not make it political. Let's see how we can make a difference, because let me tell you something. There is so much that is happening, and there's so many people who are mute, because at the end of the day, it is what it is. We benefit. And I noticed that, I got very close. It's the closest I've come to politics was in the past 7 years. I've always been around political parties. I've had my say. I stayed in the background. But it's the past 7, and I realized that politics is a nasty game. Politicians are nasty people, and it is a fact. They are self-centered, they look after themselves, and they pretend that they are going to look after you. They promise you from now until their term ends, and you find yourself in situations because you come out and you defend and you talk about, although most of the things you say, it is a fact. And then you become the target of the party that is in power. And that is how life is. It is sad. But I want to say this to the Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Ju. You said that you were going to make a difference. You said to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis that we were sick and tired of what was happening under the unity construct. People were marginalized. Poor people were not being looked after. People were victimized, and you were tired of it. And it was on that premise and on those promises that people elected you to office. It is sad when the ordinary man, because he supported a political party, he has to suffer. Everybody cannot vote for one party. You had Labour supporters who went to Unity, who benefited under the Unity construct, and they're back in Labour benefiting again. So, why can't, if they can benefit, why can't everybody else do the same? Why can't people live and work and earn in peace? And it's for all politicians. Victimization is a sickness of the mind. It's a child's game. Oh, now I'm there, going to fix you. And you go in and you do the same. You fix. It's not right. When you get into office as new as you are, you need people who are going to guide you. If you get into office and your economy is in a good position, keep those same people there. You are going to be in the leadership roles, but people have to be there to help you. But you go in, you get rid of them, and we find ourselves in the situation that we were in before. Look at what is happening to the peace program. Look at what happened to PEP and STEP and PAP. I understand that the system was corrupted, but you're in a position, the people information, all of the information that you have is there. You just have to go and do your analysis, and then you weed off the people who are not supposed to be there. But you can't have poor people suffering. You know how many people are here crying out, Lord, my rent, I can't pay my rent because I'm after the program. I can't wait for the program to come out. You promised that the program would have increased. The amount paying to the people that was on the program would have increased. But the program has been stopped. Okay, it starts again. 2,300 people are on it. But guess what? I can guarantee you that we're going to have a similar situation again. We have people who are not supposed to be on the program, but because they are supporters of the government, they're going to get on. It's the same thing. It's the same thing that is going to happen again. Because that is what politics is all about. It's a vicious cycle. What goes around, when it changes, the same thing happens again. It repeats itself. I want to say kudos to the government. They're making strides in places that we were looking at. The Integrity in Public Life Bill and Freedom of Information Act. These are things that we have been looking at. Talk about good governance agenda. Mr. Matt Mahon would agree. I hope he's happy now. I hope he's happy with the way things are going. And because that was one of his talk about good governance agenda. We are looking, it's amazing. Let me tell you something. I was having a discussion with this lady yesterday, and oh my gosh, I love her. I love her to pieces. And she made some statements. And, when I listen to ordinary people and the conversation that we have, we wonder, how come the ordinary people don't go in and vie for positions of prime minister and ministers of government? Because they're so learned, that we are so knowledgeable because of experience. And there's some of us who would have learned from experience, and there's some people who just don't learn. And she was telling me, when you look and you see what has been happening, where When some people can't get their own way, they break it up. And if you follow the trend of what have transpired in St. Kitts and Nevis, why we had to change the government after 2 years, we recognize that there's some people whose intention were to get a lot, and because they didn't get it then, they broke it up. But guess what? They didn't get it then either, so they broke it up. And you realize that they were not getting it now, and they were getting ready to talk, but I suppose they get something, so they hush. And that is where we are. We are suffering because 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, a little small pocket of people can't get what they want, and in order to satisfy them, their greed and their covetousness, we change government. We put ourselves back. How many thousands of people are affected because of a small pocket of people who couldn't get what they wanted? Their intention was to corrupt because they wanted to get big money without doing any work. And guess what? Those same people are in this party that governs St. Kitts and Nevis today. Those same people has formed the government, a part of the government structure. So I do hope, and if it remains, it means corruption is on a very high because they're getting what they want. If it doesn't remain, it's the same thing gonna happen again. In order for us to satisfy a few, the multitude has to suffer. And that is what is happening. It is sad. It is very sad. Where we would have found ourselves today, after making so much strides, after our country was positioned second, our economy was the second best in the Caribbean and Latin America. We changed a government that was doing well. Okay, to some, they were not benefiting, and so therefore, let's mash it up. To others, they saw more than we saw. And of course, I'm not saying the government was perfect, because I myself am in awe. I want to make sure that what they're saying is proof, is facts. Because if they are facts, then we have been, it happens all the time where we've been fooled. We, us as supporters, we don't know what is happening at the head. We are not part of the decision-making set of people. We support because we see what is happening, the results from decisions that have been made from the head. But we don't see everything that happens. Dr. Wilkinson, for me, was a great surgeon. And if you know Cameron's history, you'd recognize Cameron used to operate in America. Very, very good doctor. That's what I heard. Everybody told me, how come Cameron Wilkinson, do you know him? Oh yeah, he and I went to school together. We're good friends. But I mean, these are young people who government should encourage to come back home because they're doing so well in America. I was shocked when Dr. Wilkinson sent in his resignation. And we understand why, because a lot of people who are going to judge. But before you start to judge, understand why. People don't have to tell you to go. But the subtle things that they can do would force you to go. All they have to do is frustrate you. Those are tactics that people use. But guess what? And you can see how capable the man is. He has gone to America. And for those of you who don't know, he heads a hospital in Harlem. And the people who are going to benefit from his experience. And we here in St. Kitts and Nevis, we're going to import more sooner than later. We're going to be importing doctors. And it's because of the fact that people play politics with everything. Every aspect you play politics. There are certain areas that you should not touch. There are certain people that you should not touch. Everybody has a right to support who they want to support. And there are reasons why. Why wouldn't anybody support the unity construct when things were going so well in St. Kitts? Things were going well. I mean, we said it all along. We were in the hands of IMF. That was paid off for. We got our lands back. People were happy. And that is one of the reasons why people support political parties when they're doing good. We had the second pier built. We saw 4 ships in our harbors. We saw things happening. And so how could you wrong us as ordinary citizens because we were appreciative of what the government was doing? And we decided, okay then, if you're doing so good, I can support you the next time. And that's how people support government. When you go in and you start to fire people, people have family members and they're not going to support you. Those who have supported you then would not support you. If I was to run for office, you know who I would look after? The people who didn't support me. Because I would want them to support me. Of course, I'm going to look after those who supported me. But I would never turn my back on those who didn't support me. Because these are the people that you want to come on board. But you're sending home people because they're friends of Timothy's sister. Everybody, and it's sad because guess what? The ordinary man sometimes don't want to just be so ordinary. Sometimes they like to friend up. When Dr. Jew was on in the ordinary Dr. Jew, you think he had so much friends? He can get a lot of friends now because people want to feel important, so they're going to friend up to Dr. Jew. And although they didn't support him before, because he knew that he was not supported before, because he lost in two elections before. But now, he can have the most people supporting him because he's in a position to help. And people want help. So people play the game because it's a game. People play the game and suck up to you. I see people take off orange shirt and put on red shirt, jump in the motorcade because they want to be seen. They want a favor. You can't wrong them. Everybody has to live, and some people just don't know how. And so if you could get a favor, and for me, $50 make a big difference to some people. And so you can't wrong them. At the end of the day, it is your constitutional rights to vote for whichever party you see that you have to vote. I laugh. I'm not going to say too much because it's not right. But I laugh when I see certain people, all of a sudden, they're going to government, they're going to the governor's house and government, all of the activities in government, and they were the same people who used to do for PLP, for Unity. Same people. And guess what? I see people who are in big positions still, who have supported the Unity construct, or were they playing the game because they wanted to make sure that they didn't lose their position. These are the things that you see. There's some people who, they have principles, they have morals, and they are not going to change because until you can prove yourself, and that's what it is. Why would I decide to support you? I said give them a chance to see what they can do. And later on, if you're doing well, trust me, I'll vote for you. Because you want to make sure that the country is doing what it's supposed to do. And if it's doing well under you, I am going to vote for you. Why change? And that is how people are supposed to look at politics. But there's some people who are branded your Labour, your PAM, your PLP. No. Sometimes I sit back, I say, I would never vote. Because when you look and see what is happening, although the country is doing well, you understand their corruption, and you say, nah, I'm not voting for anybody. But then you have to sit down and think the country has to be run by somebody. you start to analyze. We're not in the news. We are not called Devil's Island. IMF is not in the place. The economy is doing well. When you look at people who are immigrating, we realize that, if we have so much people coming in, it means that they're seeing something. So the economy is strong. And because of that, you would vote. People don't. I have a friend who who supported Labour for a very long time. And I'm very pleased. I was impressed when, before Unity went in, he said, Sandro, before they formed the government, he said to me, Sandro, let me tell you, I don't like what is going on the Labour. And he pointed out certain things to me. He said, I'm going to give a new party a try. If they fail me, somebody has got to go in. I'm going to do my assessment, and I'm going to make a decision of who I'm going to vote. But nobody's going to stop me from voting. And I said, wow, I never thought I would found somebody like me who could say the same thing. We have to realize, and this is for the government, the blame and shame is not going to work, because at the end of the day, you all are going to do the same thing. I would say to you guys, work with people. You are government for the people, for those who voted for you and those who didn't vote for you. Give those who didn't vote for you a reason to vote for you in the next election. Don't send them home to do what? Everybody has to live. When you send home people and they're not going to work to do, what you expect they're going to do? They're going to thief and they're going to rob. Their children are going to do it because they're going to say, Mommy work hard and no nothing there to eat. They're going to thief and they're going to rob. You have to come up with programs to stop these things. That is why you're there. A country is not something you just get up and you're going to say, run, and you're going to run. You have to come up with ideas, policies. This is not a red carpet event where everybody just dress up and want to know who look the best when they're going out in these events. That's not what you're about. The A-team is not a movie. They're not actors or actresses in a movie without a script. This is real. This is people's life and livelihood and children's future when you decide that you're going to go into government. This shame and blame and shame and going around and saying all kind of negative things about people, it's not right. If you find that somebody would have done wrong and it's a criminal offense or it's unprincipled, I can understand you send them home with a reason. But you're sending them home and you're replacing them with somebody who's going to do the same thing. Hey, it's a reality. It's life. If I go in there, somebody put me in there, I'm going to look after my family. They're first. Well, not first, but I'm not going to leave them out there either in the cold. There are people who would have infringed on the former administration and they come back in because they're government in power and they're back in the position. All people coming back. Come on, man. You're putting one or two young people in the wrong positions because you want to create an impression. But then you have all of these decrepit people who can hardly walk, way over 55. And what do? Okay, you can be a civil servant, but you can have a contract. It is not right. You said it was wrong. Then people trusted you and they put you in and you're doing the same thing. And guess what? I mean, talking for Nanayo, they're talking for myself. I don't defend people. I'm not a defender of anybody. Oh, that's what Sandra means, defender of mankind, but not me. I'm saying it like I see it. And if you're honest with yourself, what you could do me. Look for all the wrong things or the problems that I have and embarrass me. And so what? I'm an ordinary citizen I think that I have a voice and I want to have a say, and I say it like I see it. I'm not bashing anybody. I'm talking the facts. So if you don't want me to talk about it, then don't do it. But it is wrong. The people who are positioned, at the end of the day, the little bit of money that you all have, look and see what's happening in the world. The CBI program is going to become a serious problem. That is our bread and butter. We depend heavily on that. But we are not aware of what's happening in the outside world. St. Kitts is an island surrounded by water. And we don't have to communicate with the outer world. But I think that is one of the reasons why we make decisions, because we are not aware of what's happening in the outer world. We are so in tune to Freedom FM because everybody wants gossip, or WINN FM because everybody wants gossip. But we do not look at CNN and other events that are happening outside in the outer world. Sorry. A lot of you go on YouTube to watch Risan Kwan or Koro Bidi. But we don't look at what is happening in the outer world. That would affect us. The war in Ukraine is posing some serious issues. America is shooting down foreign objects, UFOs, on identifying flying objects. China is getting ready to war. The climate change is wreaking havoc around the world. Every time you turn on, somebody's flooded out. The earthquake in Turkey, and there are lots of things that are happening in this world that is going to affect us. We are having issues not only with the foods that we have on the shelves. They're not good. They're recalling everything because the food is poison. Even the detergent that you use have carcinogens that affects the human. People, you can't produce enough, so they're making stuff in the labs. We are not aware of what is happening. The areas that we are supposed to pay attention to, we are neglecting. Marijuana has its people. We are fighting and putting laws in place to legalize it. It is not food. That is the issue. We have to start paying attention how we can secure our food, how we are able to satisfy the people who live here. And if you want to export, that can be a way out. But we are focused on areas where people hope to benefit. We are humans. And we look after ourselves. We are a selfish being. And so when you see people who are fighting to get certain things done, it's how they're going to benefit from it. It's the reality. It's life. It's the truth. But a lot of times, we want to create an impression like we are holier than thou. And so when you start to blame and shame, and you're doing the same thing, you're doing it because you want the attention to be diverted from you to otherwise. Why? We have to start being honest with ourselves. A conscience. Our conscience decides the type of sleep and rest that we have. It's there. But again, Christians would say, the Bible said that in the last days, man's heart will become desperately wicked. And you're seeing it. You're seeing it. There are lots of things that we have to start looking at. Our education system, our young people, what they're exposed to, the things, the kind of trade, the things that our young people are getting involved in here in St. Kitts and Nevis, the date drugs that are being used, the compromising positions that our young people are finding themselves in. The fact that mothers have to find 2 jobs because they have to feed their children, and their young children are doing things when the mothers are out to work, finding themselves on the internet. These are things that we have to start paying attention to. We need people who are in a position to counsel, to come up with programs that will keep our young women off the street out of prostitution, and our young men from smoking marijuana. The youngest child. I was having a discussion with a man, a young boy, who told me at 12 years old he was given a spranger. How much of us know that these things are happening right under our nose? He was given I didn't even know. She said he was given a spranger. Where are the parents? There's too many things that are happening under our noses that we have to stop playing politics. A young lady was gunned down under an Irishtown school. Do you know how traumatic that is going to be? How are we going to fix that? What has happened to her children? I mean, they're big people. Have anybody offered counseling? We need systems in place that is going to help our people. Not blame and shame and going around and trying to dig up dirt. What was done was done. You can't change it. If you can retrieve the monies that you think that people would have taken and you can do something about that, fine. But if you can't retrieve it, why waste time? Put policies and systems in place that it would not happen again. But that has not been done. So it's going to happen again. I wish politicians would understand the word priority. You going in and you're trying to see, how bad the former administration did. No, you don't want to do that. You want to prove yourself. You want, at the end of the day, when people decide that you should be out of office, is because they don't know what they're saying. Unity was not ousted out because the country was not doing good. Unity was ousted out because nobody liked Timothy. Could you imagine that? That was one of the reasons. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. But people have their reasons why they didn't like him. But at the end of the day, we have to create an environment where all of us, be you a Pamela supporter, a Labour supporter, a PLP supporter, we have to be able to live together in unity and build a better St. Kitts and Nevis. Nevis is in a mess. You talk about dictatorship. Nevis is in a serious mess. And I want to know, but Nevisians they're so independent. Politicians really don't mean anything to them because they are very independent minded. They vote in a government. I don't even know if they know what the government is doing. Because we're so accustomed to having bad roads that the roads are bad and it don't mean nothing. We don't even know what the government's supposed to do. Because everybody think that they have to fend for themselves. So whether or not the government perform, what is the government? How should a government perform according to them? They don't even know. Because they don't care. The sheep herders are going to herd the sheep. The people in agriculture, they're going to continue to plant their crops. Families overseas going to send something to them. If government work, you work. They go to work in the morning. They don't even care because most of them, they're going to build their own house. That's one of the things. And they live a life. They're in a world of their own. So it doesn't matter who takes up office. But at the end of the day, we have to make sure that the people who we voted for, they do what we want them to do. How? I don't know. I really don't know. I said earlier, it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. It's a day where some of us would just lay down our hair, put on our weaves and our wigs and put on our makeup or false eyelashes. And of course, you're going to wear those, I don't even know, the panties that make you look as though you have a bottom. And you're going to go on the strip and you're going to have a great time. Whether or not you're showing or whatever you took outside, it wasn't you would have had a great time. And I ask that when you're doing so, you have to be mindful that we are still battling that flu. It's posing some serious issues, so make sure social distancing is adhered to. And people see me wear a mask sometimes and they think it's funny, but it's not. I've had that flu and I don't think I want it again. And hand sanitize, it's a good thing to do. It was a beautiful Friday for me. I did enjoy having that conversation. I didn't realize the time would have run so fast. It's 11 o'clock in the studios of WINN FM. Stay tuned. Voices is up next. My name is Sandra Quilliatterton. I'm going to say, enjoy the weekend. And guess what? Tomorrow is my birthday. It's another day. It's another journey. It's another milestone. And I am grateful.
Think it's people can done. Florida, Canada. Big up every kitty shot. When me fly go England, Europe, play have fun can done. But everybody know, ain't no place like home. Me no know about you.